Yesterday we did the electronic production, electronic design, and then electronic programming. What we're going to do today is we're going to learn a Shopbot, which is a 3-axis CNC machine. And this is used to, there's multiple uses for this machine in Fablab. The most common is you can use it to make, say, banners. For example, this over here is a Fablab. Then you can cut this thing and stick it somewhere else. You can also make furniture. So if one of you can grab that stool, then I can show it here. So the way that furniture is made is first you cut 2-dimensional cutouts and then you assemble it. So it's a press fit structure, and then you can just assemble and you can make this tool. Yeah. So basically what we started was you start with the plywood. Yeah, and this you can design in a software. So basically this was one cutout, this was one cutout, this is one cutout, and this is one cutout. This is what Sam made. And once you cut this all these things, then you can simply assemble it. Sometimes what you need to do is, before you actually cut your part, you have to optimize this thing. So there's like a slot here and the thickness of the plywood. So you have to optimize the size of the slot based on the thickness of your plywood. And if you miss a little bit, then you can just chop it off, like file it from the edge. First thing first, safety. This instrument when running can actually have something projecting out. So you always need safety gear, which is your eyeglasses. It also makes sound, so we can use those thing that can avoid all the audio noise for us. Second thing is the thing we use is usually plywood, and we'll have some stock over there. So there is like multiple plywoods that you can get. In the machine, you will see there is a base. On top of that there is a sacrificial layer, and on top of that you're going to put your plywood. So the idea is, because if you go a little deep, then you don't hurt the base, you will only hurt the sacrificial layer, and once it's worn out you can simply remove the sacrificial layer and put a new layer. So when you start, first thing you do is you put your plywood. Once you put the plywood, then you have to drill holes and then cut it. So to drill holes, we have this tool. So first thing you will do is you will drill hole to your plywood. Make sure that you don't drill hole to the sacrificial layer, because the sacrificial layer will actually hold your screw. And once you drill hole, I think I can just give a demo. And the other thing you want to make sure is don't drill it where you have the metal base, otherwise your screw will directly go there. So for example, if I just want to drill here, I can simply put it and then okay. So there is a charger over there. We already have it mounted, so we don't need to drill holes and then screw our screws.
What size drill is that?
I don't know. It's the standard one that you can use. You can take a gauge and then measure it. Okay, so once you do that, the next thing is turn on your power supply. So to turn on power supply, you have this yellow switch where it has 2 positions, off and on, straightforward. Just turn that on. Once you turn that on, then you have to turn this key. So once you turn on the power supply, you can see that the fan is started. This is a sign that the Shopbot is actually getting power. Then you can simply turn this on. Okay, now once you turn that on, then you can go to computer. So the computer is talking with your Shopbot through USB connection. So sometime if you are moving the computer, what happens is the connector get loose. So you have to make sure that the connector is firm. Now once that is there, so even before you sit on this machine, the first thing you will do is you will design your CAD. So what you actually want to cut. There are multiple softwares which you can use. The one which is installed and which is free is Inkscape. So you can just open, I can give a little demo on how to make the file, but there is already a file which we're going to cut, because it takes a lot of time to develop it. You can use SolidWorks, you can use AutoCAD, or you can use any 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional CAD programs, and then you can export it in a different file format which this software accepts. You can accept DXF and variety of like STL file and other things. Yeah, so this is like a very generic vector based program which is called Inkscape. You can just like a paint program, you can make blocks, you can draw circles, you can write text. So you can write text, can be different variety of thing, and then once you are done it, then you can export it in a different file format, and that file format will be accepted by the Shopbot software. Okay, so this was a very quick demo. Again, you can use different software for making your file. What I would recommend is learn one software and stick to it. So once you have the file, what you're gonna do is you will come back, you will come to the machine, you will install your plywood, you will turn on machine. After turning on machine, there is a software called Shopbot 3. So that Shopbot 3 is a controller which actually talks to your Shopbot. So I'm just gonna double click that. It's gonna open. Now when it opens, it actually try to communicate with the Shopbot controller, and if it doesn't, it will pop up an error that there is a connection problem. If you see that problem, then all you have to do is check if the USB cable is correct or if the power supply is turned on. So right now we didn't see any error because it's already connected. Now then the other thing comes is this one button which says stop button is on. What it means is you have to actually reset the driver. So for that, what you need to do is there is a blue button here. So you can just press that and you can see that there is some sound coming. And once you do the reset, then click OK. If you don't reset and click OK, then there is a communication problem later on. Okay, so
What is it reset?
Resets the driver, the hardware driver. Okay, so just to give a quick overview, the window over here is spindle control, which is basically this one. So this Shopbot is designed in a way that there's a different controller for spindle and there's a different controller for the XYZ motion. That's why there's two USB cable coming to a computer. So window over here tells you what's the RPM of that spindle. Window over here is the G code. So you can just give the G code and it will move the controller, your Shopbot head according to the G code. This is usually when you want to do manual moving of your Shopbot head. So what you can do is you can click on this yellow button which says to move tools. Now once you click on that, there's this window opens which is keypad. Now there's two ways to actually move it. One way is you can use the arrow key and the other is using the arrow keys in the screen. Now don't use the arrow keys because there's slight bug in the problem in the software. So I usually just stick to this. So you can do this and it says reset. So again I'm gonna reset it and then do it. So now you can see that thing is moving. Now the X and Y is, if I stand like this is my X axis, this is my Y axis. Okay, most of the people get confused that this is the X axis and this is the Y axis, but it's actually like this. So this is my X axis, this is my Y axis, and correspondingly if I move it like this, then the thing is going to move that way. If I move it like this, then the thing is going to move this. Now once you have your design ready and you want to cut it, the first thing you want to do is to find out from where you're going to actually start cutting. So in this example, I have this portion of my plywood which is already used. So this portion is available to me. So what I can do is I can bring my bit over here, then 0 X and Y, and then start cutting. So it will basically assume that the origin is here and then we will cut. Now you have to make sure in your design and here that your design is not bigger than this. If it's bigger than this, then it won't cut properly. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go and 0 it here because I know that the design is pretty big. So I'm going to go here and then 0 it. So let's move it. Now once you reach to a location where you want to 0 it, then you can click on the button called fixed, this blue button which is 0 axis, and then you can check X and Y. Don't check Z because there is a different procedure to Z0 it. So you can just do this and this, check mark X axis, Y axis, and then 0 it. So that will now set that position as a 0 axis. Now every job requires a different bit. If you are engraving it, there is a different bit. If you are cutting it, then there is a different bit. And depending upon the resolution of your design, you're going to select bit end mill of different diameter. The most standard one which we use is 32 inch. So the next step for us is actually move the bit, head over here and then move the bit. So I'm going to bring it all the way here, close to me. And then move it. So right now we have a bit which is used for engraving, but we're actually going to cut it, so we'll just change it. So we're going to use 1/4 of an inch end mill, and for every end mill there is a collet which is used to mount it. So you can see it looks like this, and the end mill goes here, here, and the collet then you can mount in the spindle head. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the mill bit which is already there and replace it with 1/4 of an inch. So for that, what you do is you use this, and there's a safety feature because when you are taking out, you want to make sure that your spindle is disabled. That's why this is sticking to this. But the moment I take it out, the spindle is disabled. So even accidentally, if someone press button over there, the spindle is not going to move. What I'm going to do is there's basically two slots there. This will fit to one slot and this will fit to another slot, and then you can turn it counterclockwise. That will take out the collet. So I am I don't know if you can see anything there. Kind of tricky, so you have to like try different sizes. Do we have another one? Is this
That's small?
yeah, small.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do it. This wrench is small, that's why it's not going all the way. So I think I can try to move it a little bit, and then it will be much easier. So just give me one moment, I can take that out.
It's coming down.
Okay, so if you look here, you can see that there are two slots. I think it's very difficult to show all of them, but you just have to like rely on my words that one slot goes on this, the top slot goes on this, the bottom slot will grip to this, and then you use this action to actually unscrew that. I don't think even camera can see anything, so I'm quickly gonna just grab it there and then use this. Yeah. So now it's loose, so I can take it out. So this is the old knot and the old bit, so I can take the bit out. Can you put it there? Yeah. And every end mill has a corresponding collet. So to take that out, simply press it like this. This will come out. Can you put that also?
Is that the same?
No, every bit has a different thing. Now to install it, simply put it like this and press it. is back, and now this will go here, and the entire thing then you can just mount it there. So first I just hand tight it, and then I introduce the bit. So the way it holds it is when you tight it, it actually grips to end mill. Yeah, it's fine now. Just hand tight it. Okay, then just tighten. Okay, so this is now tight. If it loose and you try to mill it, there's a chances that you will break the end mill. So always make sure that it's perfectly tight, and then you can put all this back. Okay. So again, to summarize, we started with our design. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to use software of your choice, make your design, export it in a different file format that this software accepts, then save it in this computer. Then you come to Shopbot, you turn on the Shopbot, you open the control software, then you navigate it, can zero it, and then you can change the end bit. Once that is done, we're gonna go back to our this position, zero it again in X, Y, and then we're gonna zero it in Z also. So I'm gonna quickly move it, reset, okay. Okay, so again I'm going to click on the blue 0 axis button, check X and Y axis, and then click 0. So that will zero my X and Y. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zero Z. So for that, make sure that you first close this window. So I'm going to close this window, and then I'll go to the command console, click on the cuts, and sometimes the software hangs like it did now. Come on. Okay, so if it did hang, then just close it. I usually like to reset it, so I'm gonna go again, turn this off, then turn on both, and then turn on the control software. Reset. Okay. Click on the yellow button. First I want to make sure that it moves, and it does. Then I can just go and zero X and Y axis, that is 0. Cancel this window, and then go to cuts and 0 Z axis with 0 plate. Click on that, and then it says hit enter when above plate and ready to zero. So what it tells you is there's a 0 plate. So the way you do the zeroing is you take out this plate, this one connector which goes in your collet, and this will go right below the mill bit. So I'm gonna grab this and attach it somewhere here in the collet, and then just hold it like this. So this will, what it will do is it will reduce the Z head until it touches this plate, and that way it will know, and the software knows the height of the plate. So in that way it can back calculate the Z zeroing. So once that is done, I can simply click on OK, and I usually like to hold it then resume. So can someone click the second button? Yes. Yeah, so now the Z zeroing is done. Make sure that you take out the plate and put it back. and then just click OK. Okay, so again to summarize, first we installed our wood, then we changed our end mill, then we zeroed X, Y and Z. And the next step left is just browse to your file and start cutting it. So I'm gonna click on this cut part button, which is the green button, and then I can browse the file I wanna open. So this time I'm just gonna use what Sam created so that we can create the exact same tool. So I'm gonna just open it, and the next thing which is left is to click on the start button. At the moment I click start, this is gonna go and start milling it. And if we did all the steps properly, then it will mill all the way in. Before that, what you want to make sure is that the blower is on, because all the dust will come and you need a way to actually suck it out. So why don't any one of you start it? So there is a power switch button over there. Okay, so this will now make sure that all the dust that is coming is gonna go in. So this is the time for all of you to grab safety glasses and then use it. I don't think everyone, we have enough glasses, so whoever gets the glasses can look at it. Who doesn't, I highly recommend that you go a little far. Okay, we have few glasses there. No, you should come here because that will move. And when you start, you have to make sure that you never put your hand here, like never, because this thing can move unpredictably and it can actually hit you and injure you. So always make sure that you're off the Shopbot and then simply click start button. Then once you click on the start button, it's gonna ask you to click on the start button, which is the green button over here. Then you press the green button and it will start. The thing to notice here is there are two emergency stop switches. One is here near the computer and other is over there. The emergency stop button, yeah, don't press it. And if you think that something is going wrong, all you can do is simply press on that button and the computer will stop sending signal to Shopbot. So that has now started the spindle. I'll click OK. What?
Incremental depth and final depth.
So that is all in your file. think the portion it was cutting was this face where you have 3 slots. Now once you do this, then obviously there is a lot of mess. So we have a vacuum cleaner. Power switch for that is over there. Again, the thing to notice is this is 110 volt. So make sure that you are using the converter and not directly connecting it. If you connect it directly, then it will blow. Then you can just clean it. Okay, so once you clean it, then you can simply take out your part and assemble it. So what we're gonna do now is you all gonna do it, but you will do it in air so that you don't cut unnecessary wood. One of you guys can start with actually zeroing in and then start cutting it, but others can simply do it in air just to get an idea like how to use it.
So this, can we get the original zero so that we can finish cutting this sometime later?
Yeah, you can.
I'll just mark it somewhere so that.
So what I would do is I'll bring it back to 0 and then you can mark it, and then you can bring it there. And if you do it very well, then only you will be able to cut it. Otherwise, if there is a small shift or offset, that it won't cut properly.
Just mark a portion of the board here as 0.
Yeah, yeah. So again, to bring it back to 0, what we're gonna do is you're gonna click on this yellow button. That will pop up a window, and here you can just put the number 0 for X, 0 for Y, and again, one more very important thing is never stay close to it. So if I zero it, it's gonna come all the way here, and that will hit one of you. So always stay off of the bed. Now sometime, depending upon your file, it can go slowly and sometime it can go fast also. So it's really dangerous. So always the rule of thumb is never put your hand here and never be close to the big system, the big head. Okay, so why don't you just mark it?
No, mark it with the spindle on. Can you switch on the spindle and then go down?
Yeah, just mark it with the marker. I think that's also enough. So it comes with a software, VCarve Pro, that you can use to create the tool path. It's over here. You can just open any file. So this is one of the file which is created in this text like Shopbot and then will work. Here you can define your tool path, and so remember when you are cutting it, it goes into different depth so that you can decide. You also have to make sure that your file has the exactly same end mill as you are using there, so that you can do. So all the tool pathing can be done in this software.
Prashant, we didn't use this earlier for this, right?
Yeah, so what we did is I already created everything and then I just ran it. So part of this workshop is mostly to use the machine. You can go through the user manual of the software, which is very straightforward, and you can just learn how to use the software.
So you just take the DXF STL file and feed it to this.
Take the
output file from this and feed it to Shopbot.
Yeah. So next, what we're gonna do is again, once you are done with your session, close everything. So once you close all the software, again you can come here, close the spindle controller, and then close this, and that pretty much ends the session. Now we can start with, I think, a group of 3 people. I will be assisting and you guys will be doing. First run we'll do the Z zeroing. Later on we can stop that because we don't need to keep on cutting wood. Okay, so any 3. Why don't you three guys come?